Heidi here from Rain Country Homestead. God is good all the time. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really simple dinner that I call beef veggie bake. Now I'm sure there's other people who have made similar dinners. I don't know. It was something I just made up this last summer when I was trying to use up some garden produce and some ground beef from the freezer in order to make room for a side of beef we had coming in. So even though it's December, I actually still have kale growing out there, and I went ahead and grabbed it up because we're starting to get our first freeze, and some borage leaves and some calendula flowers. And then over here in this bowl, I have some zucchini that I cut up this last summer and then froze, and then some beans from the summer before from my garden that I also froze. I do canned beans too, but I had a lot of canned beans, so I decided to freeze these ones. I'm also going to be using half of a yam. I may add more in, I don't know. That's not from my garden, and neither is this. I've already used up all the potatoes from my own garden. A yellow potato, probably about half of this onion, and I like to put carrots in it, but I don't have any more carrots. So thankfully I have dehydrated carrots. So right now these are rehydrating, the Honeyville carrots that I've talked about in another video. And since I'm not putting this in a soup, I'm rehydrating these while I'm preparing everything else, and then I'll be adding these in. So it's just, I filled the bowl up about halfway full of carrots and added some of my filtered rainwater. And then I'll be going over the herbs and stuff. But first I'm going to be chopping this stuff up and adding it in to this pan in which I have melted about a quarter cup or more of butter. So that is the key ingredient. Alright, so let's get chopping. Vegetables in there, and I'm going to be getting onto my spices, but first I'm just going to go ahead and mix these around and kind of get them coated in that butter. And then I'm going to add some of my raisin vinegar. So basically it's almost like a saute, but I'm going to bake this on the wood stove for a while. I've got my ground beef on there and on the wood stove in there browning while I'm doing all this. Okay, and the carrots, I'm going to drain off the excess liquid, throw those in there. Okay, looks like a lot of veggies, but that kale is going to cook right down, as is the zucchini. Alright, and then I'll show you the herbs I'm going to be putting in. Today I'm going to be using lavender leaves, about a tablespoon or so. Some sage, love sage, I use it in just about everything. Some thyme, all these herbs are from my garden. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some dehydrated garlic. For some reason when I'm doing this kind of stuff, I prefer dehydrated garlic over the fresh kind. I'm just going to put all the rest of that in there, because we like garlic. Of course, me and my red pepper go a little heavier than usual for this one. Now here's the great thing about a recipe like this, is you can use whatever vegetables you want. Whatever you have a lot of that you want to use up. I'm throwing in some jalapenos. This is going to be good and spicy. And then just like any of the other dishes I make, whatever spices you want. I mix it up every time. I always try different blends of spices. I like to try all kinds of different combinations, and especially when it comes to all these herbs, because they are so healthy for you. And getting as many herbs into your meals as you can, whichever ones you like best, is just in as much as you can handle, is really going to help add a boost of nutrition to all of your meals. With that, I'm going to go get my hamburger, my ground beef, and I'm going to put that over the top and I'll be right back. Alright, I have my ground beef, my browned ground beef. And it might not be thoroughly cooked, as long as it's somewhat brown, so you can just sort of sprinkle it over the top. It's all that matters. And I have about a pound here, because I have all of our ground beef. I have them package it up in 1 pound packages. So I'm just sprinkling that right on top. And then, you might have noticed I didn't add any salt to this, because I'm going to go over the top with my homemade seasoned salt. And you can find the recipe to that right up here. So I'm just going to sprinkle that somewhat liberally. We can always add more later if we need to. Just kind of spread that around a little bit. And then I'm going to take my lid, put it on top, and then I'm going to go stick it on my wood stove on a trivet and just let it bake for several hours. Now, if you're using this in an electric oven, I'm sorry I can't tell you temperature, but it depends on how long you want to just be able to forget about it. So setting it on a lower temperature to let it cook for a few hours is good, or you can set it on a higher temperature and have it take less time. It's all up to you. At some point it's good to go through and check and see if the potatoes and the sweet potatoes, if you're using them, are getting done. And yeah, just poke it with a fork and you'll know. So the beef veggie bake is done. A few hours later, I don't know, I didn't keep track of time. And you can see it's steaming. I can't pick this up. But what you'll probably want to do is sort of mix it through, double check your vegetables with a fork. And I'm going to serve this up on a plate just so you can see what this looks like. And by the way, these plates are Corral. I'll give you a link to this. Patrick bought these on Amazon for me a few years ago, and they're my very favorite Corral plates I've ever had. I love the color. They're kind of a camel look to them. Anyway, so I got all my good veggies and stuff in there. And one thing I forgot to say earlier is you can change the flavor of this to an Italian by adding lots of tomatoes, rosemary, and oregano, or make it more Mexican by using, again, lots of tomatoes, but using cumin and chili powder, there we go, and maybe even some paprika. And that'll just give it the flavor, or even just throw in some homemade salsa. I've done that to stuff like this too. Just to change it up, you know, if you're wanting, you know, if you've got veggies and beef to use up like I did, and you want something simple to serve your family. We tend to now, especially since it's just me and Mr. Rain, we tend to do a lot of one dish meals, and then these, and I'll make a good size, and then I'll take the excess and package them up for his lunches for work. So that works really good for us. I don't always do one dish meals, but they just work really good for us that way, especially since it's just the two of us. So there you go. That's what it looks like. Let me see. I'll get some sweet potatoes in there. I'm just going to show it with the yams. There we go. Get a little more color there. Yeah, so just be creative. It's really not that hard to throw a simple dinner together, and just whatever you got in your refrigerator or whatever you got from your garden, toss it in there and throw in some butter and whatever seasonings you want, and put it in the oven or on your wood stove and just let it bake until it's done. And I guarantee you'll like it. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.